The air, crisp and carrying the scent of pine, was a welcome companion as I guided the machine through a series of exhilarating curves. Sunlight, catching the portable blue metallic paint, made the car shimmer, a vibrant streak against the emerald backdrop. Its engine, a masterpiece of controlled aggression, roared to life with every press of the accelerator, a symphony that resonated deep within my chest. This wasn't just any drive. It was a redemption, a stark contrast to a recent acquisition that had left me feeling hollow, a gnawing dissatisfaction for the missing engagement of a manual gearbox. That particular vehicle, while a commendable piece of engineering, lacked the raw, visceral connection I craved. It was a beautiful, functional object, but it didn't stir the soul in the same way. This blue marvel, however, was different. From the very first moment, it felt alive, an extension of my own will, responded with an immediacy that sent shivers down my spine. Each shift, precise and satisfying, felt like a deliberate act of creation, a dance between man and machine. The steering, telepathic in its responsiveness, communicated every nuance of the road surface, allowing me to place the car with surgical precision. It was an intoxicating blend of power and finesse, a potent elixir that washed away any lingering regrets from past automotive missteps. This was what I had been searching for, the pure, unadulterated joy of driving, a feeling that had been absent for far too long. The road ahead seemed to beckon, each bent a promise of more thrilling encounters, more moments of connection. The M2 was more than just a car. It was an experience, a gateway to a purer form of automotive engagement. All right, asphalt dwellers. For those of you who haven't had the pleasure, I'm the guy who breathes cars, who knows the ins and outs of all things automotive. And today, I'm not just going to show you a car. I'm going to tell a story of almost love, of disillusionment, and how sometimes we narrowly escape a raw deal. I'm not just an enthusiast. I'm someone who lived the saga of nearly owning a 2025 M2, identical to the one I'm about to unveil. And why does my story matter? Because it's real raw and pulls back the curtain on the automotive world, revealing the shady dealings and the pure joys that only those who truly live it can understand. Brace yourselves, because this journey is going to be a long one, filled with twists and turns. This particular M2, you see, wasn't just any vehicle. It was a culmination of a long, hard search, a quest for a driving experience that had been missing from my life for what felt like an eternity. After a string of automotive misadventures, some more embarrassing than others, I finally stumbled upon a machine that promised to be the antidote. It was an intoxicating blend of power and finesse, a potent elixir that washed away any lingering regrets from past automotive missteps. This was what I had been searching for, the pure, unadulterated joy of driving, a feeling that had been absent for far too long. The road ahead seemed to beckon, each bend a promise of more thrilling encounters, more moments connection. The M2 was more than just a car. It was an experience, a gateway to a purer form of automotive engagement. The allure was undeniable. The sleek lines, the aggressive stance, the promise of that signature BMW handling. It all spoke to my soul. I pictured myself behind the wheel, the world blurring past, the engine a symphony of controlled aggression. It was the kind of car that didn't just transport you, it transformed you. It was a perfect escape, the ultimate reward for years spent navigating the often treacherous waters of car ownership and appreciation. I could already feel the grip, the responsiveness, the sheer connection between man and machine that only a true driver's car can provide. But as with all things that seem too good to be true, there was a catch, a rather significant and, in retrospect, incredibly fortunate catch. I had done my homework, or so I thought. I'd scoured forums, watched countless reviews, and even managed to connect with a dealer who seemed to have the exact configuration I desired. The paperwork was being drawn up, the financing was practically a done deal, and the anticipation was reaching fever pitch. I was on the verge of making this automotive dream a reality, a tangible piece of engineering perfection. However, a nagging suspicion began to surface. A small voice in the back of my head, honed by years of experience and more than a few close calls, started to whisper doubts. It was a kind of instinct that can't be explained by logic or data, but rather by a deep-seated understanding of how this world sometimes operates. It was a premonition, a subtle shift in the air that suggested not all was as it seemed. This wasn't just about a car anymore. It was about a potential pitfall, a lesson I was about to learn the hard way. The pristine M2, exactly as I meticulously configured in my dreams, shimmered under the dealership lights. It felt less like a purchase and more like a predestined encounter. Every curve, every perfectly placed accent, mirrored the vision I'd nurtured for months. I could practically feel the supple leather beneath my fingertips, hear the guttural roar of the engine echoing through open streets, and taste the exhilaration of pushing its limits. The initial wave of pure, unadulterated joy was intoxicating, painting a vivid picture of weekend drives and the sheer pleasure controlling such a finely tuned machine. It was a culmination of countless hours spent researching, comparing, and patiently waiting for the stars to align. This wasn't just a car. It was an embodiment of long-held aspiration, a tangible reward for my dedication to automotive perfection. The dealership felt like a sanctuary, a place where my passion could finally manifest into reality. I pictured myself behind the wheel, the world a blur of asphalt and scenery, a symphony of performance and precision accompanying every movement. The thought alone sent a jolt of anticipation through me, a feeling akin to finally reaching the summit after a challenging climb. This was it, the moment I'd been building towards. However, as I stood there, basking in the glow of my envisioned ownership, that familiar, nagging whisper returned, more insistent this time. It was that internal compass, the one that had guided me through countless automotive journeys, both triumphant and cautionary. This time, it wasn't just a fleeting thought. It was a palpable sense of unease, a subtle dissonance that started to unravel the perfect picture I painted. The pristine condition of the car, the too good to be true nature of the alignment between my ideal configuration and the available model, began to feel less like serendipity and more like a carefully constructed facade. It was a kind of feeling that surfaces when a logical part of your brain tries to dismiss it, but the deeper, more intuitive part recognizes a pattern, a potential trap disguised as a dream come true. The exhilarating fantasies of spirited drives were momentarily overshadowed by a creeping suspicion that the path to this dream car might be paved with unforeseen obstacles. The air in the showroom, which moments before it felt charged with possibility, now seemed to carry a faint chill of apprehension. The polished surfaces of the M2, once a beacon of desire, now seemed to reflect a question mark, an unspoken challenge to my carefully constructed optimism. This was no longer simply about acquiring the perfect vehicle. It was becoming a test of my discernment, a prelude to a lesson I was rapidly approaching. That's precisely where the tension escalated dramatically. The dealership, whose name I'll omit to avoid any unpleasantness, started presenting some truly bizarre demands. They insisted on taking my current car as a trade-in, which was expected. However, the contract they presented contained clauses that sent shivers down my spine. For instance, they reserved the right to devalue my vehicle after it was already in their possession. That felt like pure trickery. My internal alarm bells started ringing immediately. I could practically smell trouble brewing. And it was then that the realization truly hit me. Sometimes, the car of your dreams simply isn't worth the ensuing headache. The salesperson, sensing my hesitation, tried to smooth things over with a practiced smile, explaining it was standard procedure and a mere formality. But the words felt hollow, like a flimsy excuse designed to gloss over something far more insidious. The contract's language was deliberately vague, creating loopholes that, if exploited, could leave me significantly out of pocket. It wasn't just about the final price anymore. It was about the principle of the matter, the idea of handing over my vehicle, a tangible asset, and then being subjected to their arbitrary reassessment of its worth felt fundamentally unfair. The dream of the M2 began to blur, replaced by a gnawing sense of unease and a growing distrust. I remember my father's advice about contracts. Read every word, and if anything feels off, walk away. He always said that a good deal should feel good for both parties, not just one. This situation was the antithesis of that. The sleekness of the showroom now felt like a carefully constructed facade, hiding a less savory reality beneath. I started to mentally reevaluate the entire situation, weighing the allure of the new car against the potential complications and the feeling of being cornered. The initial excitement had completely evaporated, replaced by a clear-eyed assessment of the risks involved. This wasn't just about a car purchase anymore. It had morphed into a battle of wits, a test of my resolve. I realized that my eagerness had made me vulnerable to potentially exploitative practices. The supposed dream car was rapidly transforming into a potential nightmare. The dealership's shift from eager sales to aggressive negotiation tactics was a stark reminder that the pursuit of a desire can sometimes lead one down a perilous path, demanding caution and a firm grip on reality. The negotiation devolved into a tense standoff. I meticulously laid out my arguments, point by point, hoping to appeal to reason, while they stubbornly clung to their unfair terms. It felt like a predator-prey dynamic, a frustrating game where I was clearly the prey. In the midst of this escalating conflict, a nagging question began to surface. Was this ordeal, this sheer frustration, truly worth it for a car? Did my adoration for an M2 justify swallowing my pride, enduring patronizing remarks, and risking being outmaneuvered? Deep down, I suspected I already knew the answer. But then again, when infatuation takes hold, it has a peculiar way of clouding judgment, doesn't it? The slick veneer of professionalism from the sales team had completely dissolved, replaced by a hardened resolve that bordered on dismissive. Each attempt I made to find common ground was met with a wall of their predetermined conditions, a rigid stance that offered no room for compromise. It was as if they had an unbreakable script, and my desire for a fair deal was an unwelcome deviation. The initial excitement of finding the car had long since evaporated, replaced by a growing sense of unease, a knot in my stomach that tightened with every passing minute. I found myself scrutinizing their every word, searching for any sign of honesty, any hint that they weren't simply looking to capitalize on my enthusiasm. This wasn't about the thrill of a new acquisition anymore. It had become a stark reminder of the importance of due diligence, of not letting emotion dictate every decision, especially when significant financial commitments were involved. The dream of cruising in that particular car was beginning to fade, overshadowed by the harsh reality of the present situation. The desire that had initially driven me was now a source of self-doubt, a silent whisperer questioning my own judgment and susceptibility. It was a moment of reckoning, a critical juncture where the allure of a coveted object was being weighed against the principles of integrity and self-respect. I started to mentally retrace my steps, replaying conversations and observing the subtle shifts in their demeanor. It became clear that my initial eagerness, my palpable excitement, had been perceived as a weakness, an opportunity to be exploited. The charming sales pitch had been a calculated strategy, designed to disarm me and make me more pliable. The dream car was rapidly morphing into a costly lesson, a symbol of a potentially regrettable impulse purchase. The thought of walking away, though difficult, began to present itself not as a defeat, but as a victory of sorts, a victory over my own infatuation, and a testament to my growing assertiveness. The game was far from over, but the stakes had fundamentally changed. Ultimately, reason prevailed. I backed out of the deal. I let go of the M2, and, to be perfectly honest, I felt an enormous sense of relief. It was as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. But the story didn't end there. The experience led me to reflect on the automotive market, on the abusive practices of some dealerships, and on the importance of being vigilant to avoid falling into traps. And, of course, it made me value honesty and transparency in negotiations even more. The immediate aftermath of my decision was surprisingly peaceful. Instead of lingering disappointment, a wave of clarity washed over me. I found myself observing the world of car sales with a new, critical eye. Every advertisement, every showroom floor, every persuasive salesperson now seemed to carry an underlying narrative I was better equipped to decipher. I realized that the allure of a dream car could easily blind one to the practicalities and the financial realities involved. It was a potent reminder that emotional appeals, while effective, should never overshadow sound judgment. This newfound perspective shifted my approach to future car searches. I began to research more thoroughly, not just the vehicle itself, but the reputation of dealerships and the common pitfalls associated with purchasing a new car. I learned about negotiation tactics, the fine print in contracts, and the importance of not rushing into a decision. It was a self-education born out of a near miss, a lesson etched not in regret, but in the quiet satisfaction of having avoided a costly mistake. I started to see that the real value wasn't just in the car, but in the integrity of the transaction. Furthermore, The experience fostered a stronger sense of self-reliance. I no longer felt as susceptible to the pressure tactics that had almost led me astray. I understood that my own due diligence and assertiveness were my greatest assets. This shift in mindset extended beyond the automotive realm, influencing how I approached other significant decisions in my life. It was a powerful affirmation that standing firm in my convictions, even when faced with enticing offers or persuasive personalities, was a path to greater personal peace and financial well-being. The M2, in its absence, had become a surprising catalyst for personal growth. What I truly learned from this entire ordeal was that in the intricate world of acquiring a vehicle, passion, while undoubtedly a driving force, must ultimately bow to reason. It's a delicate balance, and one I now understand profoundly. You simply cannot allow yourself to be swept away by the initial wave of emotion, letting it cloud your judgment and blind you to the flashing warning signs. There were moments, in hindsight, where the wisest course of action was precisely not to proceed, to walk away from a deal that, at first glance, might have seemed too good to be true. More importantly, this experience underscored the absolute necessity of knowing your rights as a consumer. It instilled in me the courage to voice my concerns, to question, and most crucially, to confidently say no when something felt fundamentally wrong or unfair. Because, when all is said and done, we aren't merely purchasing a collection of metal, rubber, and glass. We are, in essence, investing in a dream. And no one, absolutely no one, should have the power to tarnish that dream and transform it into a living nightmare. This newfound understanding didn't confine itself to the realm of dealerships and test drives. It permeated my approach to other significant life choices. I recognized that my own thorough research and unwavering assertiveness had proven to be my most valuable assets throughout the entire process. This internal shift became a powerful affirmation, standing firm in my convictions, even when confronted with tempting proposals or charismatic individuals attempting to sway my decision, was the surest path to achieving greater personal contentment and a more secure financial future. The M2, ironically, despite its ultimate absence from my garage, had unexpectedly become a profound catalyst for my personal development, teaching me lessons far more valuable than any horsepower rating. I found myself revisiting the initial exhilaration I'd felt when first contemplating the M2. It was a potent cocktail of desire and anticipation, a vision of freedom and performance that had been so meticulously crafted by advertising and my own imagination. Yet now, looking back, I could see how that very same intoxicating feeling had nearly led me down a path of significant regret. The allure of the sleek design and the promised thrill had been so powerful that it had almost overridden the more pragmatic considerations that were staring me in the face. The lingering scent of desperation from the seller, the evasive answers to my direct questions, the subtle reluctance to allow a thorough independent inspection, these were all red flags I had almost willfully ignored in my eagerness to make the dream a reality. It was a stark reminder that the most persuasive arguments are often those that appeal to our deepest desires, and that guarding against them requires a vigilant and rational mind. The experience forced me to confront a personal tendency I hadn't fully acknowledged before, a desire to believe the best in people and situations, especially when they align with something I deeply wanted. While this can be a positive trait in many contexts, in the high-stakes environment of a significant purchase, it could be a significant vulnerability. I learned to consciously separate the emotional appeal of an object or a deal from the objective facts and figures. This meant meticulously documenting everything, seeking impartial advice, and being prepared to walk away even if it meant disappointment in the short term. The peace of mind that came from avoiding a costly mistake far outweighed any fleeting disappointment. This realization, born from a past misstep, echoed strongly as I continued my search. It wasn't just about the gleaming paintwork or the promised acceleration anymore. The initial allure of aesthetics and raw power, while still a factor, had been significantly tempered by a newfound understanding. I began to approach each potential vehicle not as a conquest, but as a significant financial commitment, a partnership that would require ongoing care and investment. This shift in perspective was crucial, transforming the way I evaluated everything from a sporty coupe to a robust SUV. My research delved beyond the glossy brochures and enthusiastic sales pitches. I was actively seeking out owner forums, consumer reports, and specialized automotive websites. The goal was to uncover the less glamorous, but infinitely more important, truths about each model. This involved scrutinizing reports on common mechanical failures, the typical lifespan of key components, and the average costs associated with routine maintenance and unexpected repairs. Understanding the hidden costs, the potential for expensive electrical gremlins, the susceptibility to rust in certain climates, or the exorbitant price of specific replacement parts, became as vital as assessing fuel efficiency. It was about anticipating future needs and expenses, not just current desires. Furthermore, the reputation of the manufacturer held significant weight. A brand with a history of reliable engineering and accessible parts and service offered a distinct advantage over one with a track record of costly issues and limited support. I learned to differentiate between brands that prioritize long-term durability and those that perhaps focus more on fleeting trends or performance metrics at the expense of overall longevity. This due diligence was my shield against impulsive decisions, ensuring that my next automotive acquisition would be a sound one, not a source of future regret. Crucially, I understood that the collective wisdom of other owners was an invaluable resource. These were the individuals who had lived with these cars day in and day out, experiencing their quirks and triumphs firsthand. Engaging with these communities, whether online or in informal gatherings, provided a wealth of practical advice and honest feedback that no manufacturer could replicate. Hearing about their experiences with specific repairs, their favorite mechanics, or even the best places to source affordable parts transformed abstract knowledge into actionable insights. This collaborative spirit within the automotive world was something I now actively sought to tap into, recognizing it as a powerful tool for making informed choices. It's truly invaluable, and I absolutely cannot stress enough the importance of having a trusted mechanic. You know, that person who really knows their stuff, who gives you honest advice, and who helps you take care of your vehicle with genuine care. Because when you think about it, a car is a lot like a child. It needs attention, nurturing, and constant upkeep. And a good mechanic, in many ways, acts like a wise guardian. They guide you, they help shield you from potential trouble, and they assist you in preventing those unwelcome breakdowns. So, if you haven't yet found that GOAT mechanic you can rely on, make it a priority to seek one out. They can easily become your most valuable ally in the world of automobiles. This realization hit me particularly hard as I consider my own journey with my trusty sedan. While I'd always try to be diligent with basic maintenance, I knew there were intricate systems and potential issues lurking beneath the surface that I simply couldn't diagnose on my own. The idea of having someone with years of experience, someone who had seen it all and could anticipate problems before they became major headaches, was incredibly appealing. It wasn't just about fixing things when they went wrong. It was about proactive care, about ensuring longevity and reliability. I started asking around discreetly, not just for names, but for stories. I wanted to hear about the mechanics who went the extra mile, the ones who explained repairs in a way that made sense, and who never made their clients feel pressured or uninformed. These weren't just transactional relationships. They were built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect, a partnership in keeping a vital piece of machinery running smoothly. It was about finding someone who saw my car not just as a job, but as something deserving of expertise and dedication, much like how one might care for a beloved pet or, as I'd often muse, a growing family member. The recommendations started pouring in, and a few names kept surfacing. Each anecdote painted a picture of competence, integrity, and a genuine passion for craft. It wasn't just about wrenches and oil changes. It was about the peace of mind that came from knowing your vehicle was in capable hands. This, I understood, was a missing piece of my approach to car ownership, a solid, reliable connection to someone who truly understood the language of engines and had my best interests at heart. It was time to actively pursue this crucial relationship. To wrap things up, I want to leave a message for anyone considering buying a new vehicle. Don't rush into it. Do your research, compare your options, and negotiate with confidence. Never be afraid to ask questions, to seek discounts, or to assert your rights as a consumer. Above all, resist the pressure tactics that some salespeople might employ. Remember, you are the customer, and you hold the power in this transaction. If at any point a deal feels off or something doesn't sit right, don't hesitate to walk away. Ultimately, your peace of mind and your satisfaction are far more valuable than any car. My newfound understanding of the importance of a trustworthy mechanic had shifted my perspective entirely. It wasn't just about having a vehicle that ran. It was about having a partner in its upkeep, someone who could offer informed advice and prevent future headaches. I realized that my previous approach had been akin to navigating a complex city without a map, relying on guesswork and hoping for the best. Now, I envisioned a future where I had a reliable guide, someone who could point me in the right direction, advise on the best routes, and ensure my journey was smooth and safe. This realization was empowering, transforming car ownership from a potential source of stress into an opportunity for informed decision-making and long-term confidence. I began actively seeking out recommendations from friends, family, and colleagues, listening intently to their experiences and endorsements. The consistent themes that emerged were not about the cheapest prices, but about honesty, transparency, and a genuine commitment to customer satisfaction. I heard stories of mechanics who went the extra mile, who explained repairs in clear, understandable terms, and who never tried to upsell unnecessary services. These anecdotes painted a picture of competence, integrity, and a genuine passion for craft. It wasn't just about wrenches and oil changes. It was about the peace of mind that came from knowing your vehicle was in capable hands. This, I understood, was a missing piece of my approach to car ownership, a solid, reliable connection to someone who truly understood the language of engines and had my best interests at heart. It was time to actively pursue this crucial relationship. So, did you enjoy the tale of the M2 that narrowly escaped disaster? I certainly hope so. More importantly, I hope it serves as a guide, empowering you to make more informed decisions and steer clear of those automotive pitfalls. Because, in the end, what truly matters isn't possessing the most expensive or the most powerful vehicle. It's about owning a car that brings you happiness, sparks joy, and creates unforgettable moments. And if achieving that means letting go of one dream, don't fret. Other dreams will surely come your way. With the wisdom you've gained, you'll be far better equipped to bring them to fruition. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Until next time, the narrative that unfolded, replete with tales of astute problem-solving and unwavering integrity, underscored a profound truth. It wasn't merely about the mechanical aspects of vehicles. It was about the sheer tranquility that arises from entrusting your automobile to truly capable hands. This, I finally grasped, was a vital element missing from my own automotive journey, a dependable, trustworthy connection with someone who possessed an innate understanding of engines and genuinely prioritized my well-being. The time had arrived to actively seek out and cultivate this indispensable relationship, moving beyond fleeting encounters and into a realm of consistent, reliable expertise. It's about forging a partnership, one built on mutual respect and a shared appreciation for the journey. This connection transforms car ownership from a potential source of stress into an avenue for fulfillment. The lessons learned, both through close calls and the quiet competence of those who truly care, paint a clear picture of what a healthy automotive life looks like. It's a life where the hum of the engine is a song of reliability, and the open road represents not just miles to cover, but memories waiting to be made. This understanding is the bedrock upon which future automotive endeavors will be built, ensuring that each choice leads to greater satisfaction and fewer regrets. The road ahead, therefore, is not one paved with anxieties about potential breakdowns or unexpected expenses. Instead, it is a path illuminated by the confidence of knowing that the vehicle is more than just a mode of transportation. It's a trusted companion. This shift in perspective is transformative, allowing for a deeper appreciation of the freedom and adventure that a well-maintained vehicle can offer. The stories shared were not just cautionary tales. They were affirmations of the positive impact that genuine care and expertise can have, proving that the pursuit of automotive happiness is an achievable and deeply rewarding quest.